Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for today's BU Career Development webinar 10 Ways to Have Healthy and Happy Relationships at Work. My name is Jeff Murphy, and I'm a member of the Career Programs team in the Office of Alumni Relations here at BU. Today's webinar is sponsored by the Boston University Alumni Relations Office and is offered to our 326,000 alumni around the globe. Throughout your career, BU is committing to helping you define and achieve your professional goals. We aim to do this by providing alumni with access to a series of valuable online tools and social media communities. I know we have alumni joining us today from faraway places like Guangzhou, China, Étampes, France, London, Mumbai, Rome, Beirut, Mexico City, San Jose, California, closer to home, New Haven, Connecticut, Chicago, East Lansing, Michigan, Avon, Ohio, and as always, dozens of Massachusetts alumni from towns like East Boston, Dedham, Westfield, Waban, Groton, Marlborough, Malden, and more. For each and every one of you out there, please know that we really do value your opinion on this and every program that we offer. Before I introduce today's speaker, some brief housekeeping notes. As you know by now, this webinar is being hosted on the Adobe Connect online meeting platform. If you experience any trouble with the audio or visual portions of today's presentation, I'll ask that you please contact Adobe Connect directly at 1-800-422-3623, and I'll leave that number up at the bottom of your screen for a little while in case you want to make a note. Today's presentation is being recorded and will soon be made available for on-demand viewing on the Alumni Association website found at www.bu.edu/alumni. Our speaker today is very eager to answer any questions you may have, and you're welcome to submit them throughout the presentation using the Q&A chat box at the bottom of your screen. We hope to get to as many questions as we can during today's webinar. It's now my pleasure to introduce our speaker for the day. Presenting from Los Angeles, but originally from the Chicago area, is College of Arts and Sciences alumna Jaime Bronstein. Jaime Bronstein is a seasoned and dedicated psychotherapist who has been practicing for 17 years. She achieved a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology from BU and a Master's of Social Work from New York University. Following the completion of her postgraduate work, Jaime went on to become a licensed clinical social worker. Her therapeutic work integrates a humanistic, cognitive, behavioral, and psychodynamic approach determined by the specific needs of her clients. Jaime specializes in relationship issues of all kinds, self-development and enhancing self-esteem, complex family dynamics, relationships in the workplace, and depression and anxiety. Leave any preconceived judgments about therapy at the door because Jaime isn't your typical therapist in the best way possible. There's no uncomfortable couch, no embarrassment necessary, just you and Jaime's enthusiastic, positive attitude and lust for life that she hopes to pass along to each and every client who is searching for a supportive, knowledgeable, and unbiased therapist. Jaime lives in the Chicago area with her husband Brian and their 2-year-old son Noah. When she's not hard at work, she enjoys spending time with her family and friends, practicing yoga, eating pizza, and she has been known to sing a karaoke song or two on occasion. Jaime, thanks for being here today. The floor is all yours. I'll go ahead and get your slide deck up and running. But hey, while we're doing that, what's your go-to karaoke song?
I'm really cheesy. I love songs from the 80s. So, Total Eclipse of the Heart, any Madonna song.
Excellent. Well, hey, you should see your slide deck up. Do you see it on your end?
I see it.
All right, perfect. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I just want to thank all of you for joining me today. I know you guys all have busy schedules, so I really appreciate it. And I know that we all have BU in common, and it was an amazing experience. I love the fact that there are people from all over the country that are here today and from all over the world. Jeff, I know that you found that BU was an amazing place to have such a diverse community also.
Absolutely. I've enjoyed being a part of this community and getting to meet alumni from all corners of the globe.
Awesome. Okay, so I wanted to start off with a little question for all of you, and it's interactive. So, Jeff, if you could put up my question before we get started. Thank you. Okay, so if you guys could just answer this for me, what percentage of time are you currently happy at work? And just take about 30 seconds to a minute, and we'll look at the responses.
Jaime, are you able to see those results as they're coming in?
Yes, I feel like I'm watching The Voice right now when they do the live responses at the end. Okay.
I'm glad to see nobody's at zero so far.
Yeah. Okay. So No one's 100, but we'll get you there. And also, nothing's perfect. So even if you get to like 98%, let's see. Okay, so it seems like we have a bunch of people that are at least at 75. So my goal will be to get you to at least 95. How about that? Okay, thank you, Jeff. We'll just get started here. Okay, so welcome. And I'm going to start off with a little Harvard Business Review by Annie McKee. It's a simple fact: happy people are better workers. Those who are engaged with their jobs and colleagues work harder and smarter. It's time to finally blow up the myth that feelings don't matter at work. Science is on our side. There are clear neurological links between feelings, thoughts, and actions. When we are in the grip of strong negative emotions, it's like having blinders on. We focus mostly on the source of the pain. We don't process information as well, think creatively, or make good decisions. Frustration, anger, and stress cause an important part of us to shut down, namely the thinking engaged part. So, I read that and I was like, this is quite alarming, which is why my goal is to inspire my clients and all of you viewing this webinar today to check in with yourself and see what you can do to improve your overall happiness at work. I might not be as funny as David Letterman, but I have my own top 10 ways to achieve positive and successful relationships at work. So here we go. Just going to go to the next slide. Okay. So my first step is communicate wisely. Although it can be difficult at times, it's important to be a good listener. If you are truly engaged in the conversation, the other person knows and appreciates it, and the conversation flows naturally. If you are just waiting for the person to finish speaking and you're preparing what you are going to say next, then you're not really listening, and it shows. It won't take long for the communication to break down. When you are a good listener, you show the other person that you are interested in what they have to say, and that makes them feel good about themselves. Let them know that you value their ideas. Another important communication skill is never make assumptions. Assumptions are the many culprits in misunderstandings, lost sales, and failed business negotiations. A variety of types of people, all working in the same environment, can be challenging. It's important to not judge your coworkers, and it's imperative to observe and be cognizant of their different personalities and work styles. Don't expect people to operate the way that you do. Everyone is different. Instead of expressing frustration, remind yourself that not everyone has the same strengths, weaknesses, or personality. It's important to recognize and acknowledge your coworkers for their individuality and the strengths that they have. The only person who can ever do things exactly like you is you. Moving on. We only get one chance to make a good first impression. So go into a first encounter with an engaging smile and a calm, easygoing, friendly demeanor. Whether it's subconscious or conscious, people will remember that first meeting and most often will base the rest of the relationship off of that first encounter. Do your best to not have walls up. The goal is that you are going to build a strong working relationship, and when walls are up, it doesn't allow your authentic self to come through. So make sure to check in with yourself before meeting someone for the first time, and give yourself a quick reminder that being genuine is truly the way to go. Although we don't want to measure every word that we say, it is a good policy to think before you speak. While you may develop a friendship or two that goes beyond the office walls, remember that the average office relationship with your coworkers should remain as PC and conservative as possible. If you're not sure about whether or not to say something because it might be received as off-putting or inappropriate, definitely err on the side of caution and refrain. You can't take back words once they are out there. Trying to reserve something once it is said makes it a lot harder, and only very rarely is the apology really accepted. Sorry about that. Jeff, do you see which slide is up? Jeff, you there?
Yeah, sorry, I had my microphone muted. It just takes a second. I've got Dwight Schrute up on my screen right now.
Oh, Dwight's a great guy. Okay. Sorry, I'm just, sorry, 1 second, everybody. Okay.
And now at the slide 2 of number 1, communicate wisely.
Okay.
Here we go. Are you having trouble seeing anything on your end?
We're good. Do you see respect?
Yes.
I see respect. Okay. Aretha Franklin described it best in her pop song, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Simply said, respect is the foundation of a successful relationship. Just like in a romantic relationship, respecting the other person is a must and a deal breaker if it's non-existent. A relationship will crumble if there isn't a foundation of true respect. When you are communicating with someone, make sure that your words and actions reflect the respect that you have for them. It's not just what you say. Nonverbal communication is a gigantic part of our overall communication. It's really not only what you say, but what you do. Your coworkers will look for clues about how you feel from your expressions and your overall demeanor and essence. Try not to walk around with your arms crossed over your chest or your head down. It shows that you are closed off. Smile when you walk by someone and say hi. When you are in conversation with someone, make sure you make eye contact. Eye contact is definitely underrated. It is important to look into someone's eyes when in conversation. For the speaker, it demonstrates that you are confident and honest in what you are saying. And for the listener, it demonstrates that you are fully present and available. So, do your best to make eye contact. If you haven't been an eye contact person in the past, try it out and see if it makes a difference in your communication and overall relationships. Dwight, he's back. Okay, so some of you may recognize Dwight from the TV show The Office. His character was definitely not the most easygoing guy to work with. However, you can get along with even the most difficult office mate, even if he's like Dwight. In any type of situation, you will come across people who you don't naturally vibe with. I'm here to tell you how it's possible to still have a working relationship with that person. When someone says something to you that rubs you the wrong way and you feel attacked, you have 3 options. You can either 1, attack back, 2, ignore it, or 3, respond in an honest manner. If you want the best chance for a successful relationship, I'd suggest going with number 3. Honesty is the best policy. Cliché, but true. Telling someone that what they said was hurtful instead of attacking back can be incredibly powerful. A lot of people think that being vulnerable is a weakness, when in fact, it's the complete opposite. When you are honest, raw, and transparent, you open the door for a very authentic and real relationship. Basically, when you disarm yourself, you are sending a message to the other person that they don't need to put up a wall or have their armor as a shield either. Now, if drama does find you, remind yourself that you can't change someone else's behavior as much as we wish we all could, but you have the power to change how you react to them. So, if it means being the bigger person, then so be it. You will be happier in the end. Start to practice being more introspective, looking inside and checking in with yourself. Be aware of how you are feeling in the moment. If you are the type of person who explodes easily and you find yourself getting angry, then you can tell the person that you need to take a minute and you will get back to them and resume the conversation when you are ready. If you find that your work relationships are causing you stress, using mindfulness and meditation can be a huge way to achieve relief. It essentially is a vehicle to take time away from the stress and just be. The benefits of meditation are incredible. Finally, getting on to step number 2. I promise the rest are shorter, but step number 1 about communication, there's just so much to share, as we all know. So step number 2, be a team player. Be reliable. When you say you're going to do something, follow through and do it. Offer to share responsibilities. Your coworkers will appreciate it, even if they don't need your help. They will like that you offered. Offer to help someone new or someone who needs assistance. Be flexible. Things come up and sometimes schedules change, the work environment changes, roles change. Whatever the changes, do your best to let go of any control that you may have and roll with the changes. You will be a happier person inside and outside of work. Understand your role. Do your best to not step on anyone's toes. Unless you are asked to do something outside of your normal role, do your best to stick with what is expected of you. Step number 3, be present. Be wherever you are. When we are present, we are way more productive. The following are 5 ways to be more present. Number 1, set an intention to be present. Our intentions drive our focus. I have a goal to take 5 deep breaths 5 times a day, and I just close my eyes for a minute or two. It's a good way to get grounded, back on track, and check in with yourself. Being present is a moment-by-moment choice. With every breath, you get a get out of jail free pass. Number 2, track your presence. For those of us who are avid goal setters, you can sign up for Matt Killingsworth's Track Your Happiness on your smartphone and get a personalized report. By doing this, you can systematically track your happiness and find out what personal factors are associated with greater happiness. Number 3, start a mindfulness practice. Mindfulness practice is simply training our minds for greater focus on the present moment. Our goal is for us to run our minds rather than our minds to run us, and to simply focus on our breath and our breath alone. By doing so, we let go of the outside world, and the benefits are amazing. Try it right now. Close your eyes if you're in a private space, or even if you're not, who cares? Just take a few deep breaths and see how you feel more relaxed and present. Let's just take a minute to take a few deep breaths. Close your eyes and just relax. Okay. I feel more relaxed. I hope all of you do too. Number 4, practice body awareness. Our thoughts drive emotions we can feel in our bodies. If we are doing yoga, we are especially tuned to the wisdom of our bodies. It takes our bodies 90 seconds to process an emotion, according to Jill Bolt Taylor, a neuroscience researcher. To release the emotion, we can use our get out of jail free pass. Here's the problem. Our judgments create stories related to the emotion. These stories can stick with us for a lifetime and don't always serve us unless we change them. So, number 5, notice the story patterns and release them. Most of us have patterns in our judgments we have towards ourselves and others. These typically are false beliefs that we have carried with us, usually since childhood. These patterns affect how we operate and communicate in life. Being present actually helps us to improve our emotional intelligence and personal power as we notice the stories we have, but don't let them drive our behavior. The more present and aware we are of these false stories, the more we can work to change them into what we know the true stories really are about ourselves and our lives. So at this point, I'd like to take a break and do another poll. Jeff, if you could bring up our next question. Thank you. Okay. So if you could change something about your job, what would it be? And if you could just answer one of those: location, coworkers, manager, or hours spent working. Thank you. And we'll just take a minute to see what the results are.
Jamie, I'm realizing that we didn't make the decision to put salary on this list. Is that just a given for everyone and therefore not really worth examining?
Ooh, maybe we can talk about that at the end. Thank you, Jeff. Good point. Okay, so it seems like we're getting a lot. Can everybody see the results or just us?
No, everybody can see them as they're coming in.
So you all can see that it seems like a lot of you are not a fan of your manager slash boss, which is why hopefully after this you can work on kind of, since you can't change them, how we can change our reactions to them. So location is a little bit, coworkers pretty big. Hours spent seems to be tied with location. Okay, so it looks like manager boss is winning, is the winner. Thank you. Okay, so we'll get back to step 4. Practice being positive. The power of a positive attitude is priceless. When something negative happens that is out of your control, change your reaction to it. We were just talking about that. See the glass half full. You can say to yourself, well, at least I have so-and-so, or it could always be worse. Having a sense of gratitude and truly feeling grateful helps to maintain a positive attitude. If you find that you are not happy at work, simply making a list of positive things can help change your outlook and change your attitude. The more grateful you are, the more positive you will be and more successful your experience and relationships at work will be. A wonderful work on the power of gratitude is The Magic by Rhonda Byrne. I don't know if any of you have read it, but I read it and it's absolutely life-changing, so I highly recommend it. Step 5, face-to-face, not FaceTime. Spending time in someone's actual presence is way more beneficial than screen time, emails, or phone calls. One of my clients is a consultant who started working on a project with a new client. Often when consultants engage with organizations, the employees of the organization may become anxious and reluctant to work with the consultants if there is a fear about the impact to their job or role. In this situation, a technical director acted very unprofessional and even hostile towards my client and his team. He wouldn't attend meetings and phone calls, and when he did, he would often criticize the consultants and was reluctant with providing information. After several attempts to improve the relationship and connect with the technical director via phone and in person at the office, my client finally made a breakthrough by scheduling a series of lunches and dinners with him that eventually led to a personal connection and solid relationship. Rather than escalating the issue by going to the technical director's manager, my client, through this consistent in-person time, was able to improve the relationship and ultimately improve the work atmosphere for his whole team. With that said, when you can, schedule meetings in person. If you need to schedule a meeting with someone, even if it might take you a little more time, schedule an in-person meeting. It builds rapport and the foundation of a solid and real relationship. You wouldn't just FaceTime with someone you were involved with in a romantic relationship. Of course, workplace relationships may not tug at your heartstrings, but you see these people for many hours every day, and if you treat them right and exude a positive energy, you will find that your days at work will be extensively more enjoyable. Number 6, make friends. There's a picture of our favorite friends. Moving on. One way to make friends is to create a support system of colleagues. Utilize this support system and reach out when you are in need, or if you just want someone to chat with at work at the cooler. Since you spend a majority of time at the office, it's important to create friendships at work. Some people see their workplace colleagues as family. Keep in mind that just like all families, it would be unrealistic to think that every day will be perfect or that you will never have disagreements. In addition, make an effort to get to know your coworkers on a personal level, but at the same time, be aware of professional boundaries, which we will get to in a little bit. Friendships will happen organically if you are open to them. Initially, it's best to start out on the conservative side. I'm not a huge fan of an abundance of self-disclosure at the beginning of any type of relationship, especially a professional relationship at the workplace. And remember, not everyone is going to like you, and that's okay. As long as you are being yourself and considerate to others, that's all that matters. Number 7, choose to be happy. It's actually a choice, believe it or not. Be open to feedback. Don't close yourself off. The more open you are, the happier you will be. Don't take criticism personally. If someone is giving you constructive criticism, don't let it get you down. You have the choice to let it bother you or not. Look at it as a way for you to improve and grow at work. You have control over your responses. It's completely up to you how you respond to someone. It's always better to take the high road, to respond with kindness, even if the person you're talking to isn't being kind. Utilize the concept of killing them with kindness. It actually works. Once you start being kind to them, it's a cyclical effect. Start the cycle of kindness and respect, and you will see the positive results. Find meaning in your work. If you can't do this, then make philanthropy a part of your life. Schedule a charitable campaign for your office, a day of service, or get involved in something you personally care about. Your positive mindset is a choice that you can make every day, which will lead you to happiness. Work is not always going to be fun, and it can't always be enjoyable. Life is filled with ups and downs, just like work. It's important to be grateful for the ups and roll with the downs. It's your positive mindset that will make the difference at work and at home. Number 8, manage your emotions. It takes work, but you can learn to manage your emotions. Emotional intelligence is the capability of individuals to recognize their own emotions and those of others, discern between different feelings, and label them appropriately. Use emotional information to guide thinking and behavior and manage and/or adjust emotions to adapt to environments or achieve one's goals. One way to manage your emotions is to take time to process feedback. For example, take a few deep breaths, you did, and all the time you need before responding to a negative or conflictual email. Come back to it when you are really ready to send it. Don't take things personally. Focus on and hone in on your emotions. Be cognizant and aware of them as much as possible. Don't brush them off. Allow yourself to really feel what you are authentically feeling. But at the same time, if your emotions are feelings of rage or anger, don't act upon them. Simply sit with them, acknowledge them, and wait until you are calm again so you can avoid negatively affecting your relationships. Be introspective. Look inside. Check in with yourself and ask yourself how you are feeling at all times. Number 9, Oprah. She is always preaching being authentic and the importance of speaking your truth. Oprah is one of my favorite people. She really embodies and teaches people how to live their best life. Authenticity builds trust. It truly is one of the most important ingredients in having a trusting relationship. Just like in any other relationship, it's the essential foundation for trust. It's easy for someone to notice when you're not being genuine, and that will repel instead of attract people to you. Research has found a real link between authenticity and happiness, and I totally believe it. If your goal is to be happy and have successful relationships at work, be cognizant and check in with yourself. Ask yourself if you feel that you are being authentic. If not, then do what you need and look inside to show your true colors. Number 10, manage boundaries. This is a picture from the TV show Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Basically, the main character, Rebecca, befriends her coworker, Paula, and takes her on a crazy wild ride to stalk and harass Rebecca's ex-boyfriend. All done in an extremely ridiculous and hilarious fashion. Not only is their relationship way beyond appropriate office boundaries, but because of Rebecca's obsession, it takes away from their productivity at work as well. All in all, not a good situation for either one of them to be in. I loved that show until it jumped the shark and got a little too outrageous for my liking. The following are some ways to establish good boundaries at work. Number 1, don't take on too much. Don't kill yourself with overtime. Be honest with yourself about what you can handle. You might feel like working overtime will benefit you in the end, but it can add more stress, which will not increase your happiness at work. 2, it's okay to be a little selfish. Feel confident in making a decision that is good for you and establish boundaries with your supervisor when too many tasks are asked of you. 3, the importance of having an efficient work-life balance. I'm a huge fan of this. When it comes to your actual time at work, you need to have a good work-life balance. Try to make it as even as possible and make sure that your coworkers are aware of the fact that you are taking care of yourself and put importance on your outside work life in addition to your life at work. 4, delay or avoid very personal disclosures, as we were talking about before. Intimate stories strengthen relationships. They don't establish them. When you share too much too early, it breaks socio-cultural norms of behavior, making one appear awkward and needy. This doesn't mean you should never share personal information, but you need to establish a strong foundation before you disclose. It's good to remind yourself once in a while that these are work relationships and they are different than your outside work relationships. One of my clients had issues at work because she works in a department where everyone is always into everyone else's personal business, and they are all very close with each other. When you have crossed personal boundaries like that, it makes it hard when personal things come up, like you are too attached emotionally, like when you're about to leave a job, or let someone go, or give constructive criticism. So do your best to just be aware of how you are managing your boundaries and how others are managing theirs in relation to you. You will ultimately be a happier person at work and in life in general. So now just a recap of our 10 steps. Number 1, communicate wisely. Number 2, be a team player. Number 3, be present. Number 4, be positive. Number 5, face-to-face time, not FaceTime. Number 6, make friends. Number 7, choose to be happy. It's actually a choice. Number 8, manage your boundaries. Number 9, be authentic. And number 10, manage your boundaries. Sorry, did I say number 8, manage your boundaries? I meant manage your emotions if I didn't say that. So, like most of you listeners, I attended BU and got so much out of my academic experience. I know that getting C's was not something most of us would want, but my hope is that you got two very important C's from my talk today. If you take away nothing else, think of these two C's: communication and collaboration. These are the two most important ingredients for any good relationship at work and in life. If you are a C student in this arena, I guarantee that you will be a success. If you have any questions or you'd like to schedule an appointment, feel free to reach me at jamie@therelationshipexpert.com. I am running a special offer to webinar participants for a complimentary 20-minute online live chat, Skype, or phone session. And if you can also go to my website, if you'd like to, you can check out my blog. And if you happen to be in the Chicagoland area, I do in-person therapy as well. I hope that all of you have gotten something out of today, whether you're feeling inspired, hopeful, or just happy. My goal is to make you feel empowered and to know that you have the strength to do any and all of these steps to ensure happy and healthy relationships in the workplace. You can also apply all of these steps to your relationships outside of work with your friends, family, or romantic partner. Thank you for tuning in today, and I hope that all of you enjoy the rest of your day. Jeff, back to you.
Jamie, great job. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that you wrapped this all into a nice, clever top 10 list. It was super clear. And as you were sort of doing your presentation, I definitely found myself thinking about my own work situation in a lot of ways. I have a lot of questions, but what we obviously want to do is get to our audience questions. So those of you that are on, please go ahead and use the Q&A chat box at the bottom of your screen. To ask Jamie a question while we have her. And Jamie, I also want to thank you for that generous offer that you've made to everybody to do that online consultation. That's awesome. And I'm sure a lot of people probably already have emailed you to schedule that 20 minutes.
No problem.
While we're waiting for a couple questions. Oh, sorry, what's
that? I was going to say, no problem. I'm just extremely passionate about my work and helping people and, helping them change their lives for the better. So I'm happy to do it.
Yeah. We've got a couple questions coming in, but I am going to take the moderator privilege and ask my own first. Right at the top of your presentation, you were talking about being a good listener, and one of the things that I know that I do, I am that person that will stand there at a networking event, and instead of listening to what the other person is saying, I'm thinking about what I'm going to say in response. And so, do you have any tips for me about how I can work on that?
Absolutely. I would say you definitely need to, like I was talking about, be present because it's so apparent. Like that person probably, no offense, you might get annoyed by the fact that it's so apparent that they can tell that you're not really listening or waiting for what you're going to say next. So if you are really present and you're engaged in what they're saying, it actually makes for more of a fluid conversation anyway. So, and more of a productive conversation. So I would say just what I was talking about, just being present, like literally being there and just working on your listening skills.
Yeah. Judith is wondering how, the things that you covered today are great for sort of somebody's own personal communication skills, but how do you go about encouraging others in your office to be better communicators?
Yeah, so there's a fine line there. I would say, we don't want to offend anybody, but I would say depending on like how close you already are to them, you could take someone aside, take them out to lunch, like I was saying, face to face time, and just have a very open, raw conversation. And I think that they would appreciate it. If you didn't want to call people out, you could schedule just kind of like an in-service meeting for kind of the whole group to have a discussion, about the topic. So I think that either one of those would work.
Okay.
Depending on the situation.
Depending on the situation, sure. Claire Bell has asked an interesting question. She's sort of wondering how generational gaps sort of add a lens on the top 10 list that you've talked about. So can you talk about how is your advice any different when having a relationship issue with somebody maybe from a different generation, or the fact that so many people feel like millennials are taking over the workplace and changing things in a way that maybe aren't professional? What would your comments be about that?
My intuition, my gut about this answer is that we are all humans, and I don't think we should treat anybody any differently because of their age. So any of these steps should work for any age. And just the bottom line is whether it's your boss or you are the boss talking to someone who's lower than you, to have respect, and to have everything that I talked about. You know, I know there's that whole millennial thing, but at the end of the day, we are all human beings and we are all at the same workplace and we all deserve to be treated in the same way. So I really wouldn't, I would say that all these steps apply to all ages. I wouldn't change any of them.
Sure. Maggie is wondering, you mentioned at the beginning of your presentation an app, a mobile app that allows you to sort of track your
Oh, yeah.
happiness.
So the Matt Killingsworth, yes.
Matt Killingsworth.
Yeah, I would be happy to send a link to that. You can Google Matt Killingsworth, and that's called Track Your Happiness, and it's fantastic. I love that whoever this is, I love that you're interested in doing that.
Excellent. One of the other questions I had for you, Jamie, when I first saw your slide deck, when you shared it with me, I thought it was interesting that you said that sort of, boiling this down, that the workplace should feel like a family. And I'm wondering if you could just sort of elaborate on that, because I think a lot of people fail to see sort of where to make the distinction between work and personal life. So could you comment a little bit more about what you mean about that?
Yeah, well, I think, like in a family, there's a certain sense of comfort, I'd say. Not in every family, and of course, things change. Sometimes you feel comfort, sometimes you don't. Just like life and everywhere. So I would say, if at all possible, and by using the face-to-face time, by really taking time to see people outside of work for meetings or whatever, but keeping it as, as work relationship as possible. I think that increases people's happiness at work because then you're forming a real connection. It also gives you incentive to go to work if you feel like you really enjoy these people or you can trust them and you lean on them for support like you do with a family. I think it's just that overall feeling of comfort and being at home in your environment.
Belkis has asked a pretty Belkis, I'm sorry to hear about your situation, but Belkis has gone through a discrimination and retaliation issue with their supervisor, that person's supervisor, and the human resources manager at their office. So, Jamie, Belkis is looking for some advice about how to manage relationships that have been really strained and damaged with the discrimination and retaliation issues. Do you have any thoughts about how you'd recommend that person really sort of approach work relationships after all this has happened?
Yes, I'm sorry you had to go through that. And obviously, I don't know where you are in the process, but I'll just speak generally. I would say that, especially with what's going on in our world right now, with all of these people getting empowered and sticking up for themselves, which is amazing. I would say that just make sure that you are being authentic to yourself and you are getting the respect that you need and you are speaking up if you do feel like you're being discriminated against and treated unfairly. I don't know if you had gone to HR. Jeff, did you mention that they had gone to HR yet?
No, but we could ask Belkis to elaborate by maybe typing in a little bit more information into the Q&A box here.
Okay.
Belkis, yes, went to HR and then was terminated.
Okay, so you are no longer at the job anymore.
No.
Okay, so can you ask this person, is it basically like what to do now in their next job or how to move on from this or how to deal with the situation? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I got the impression from Belkis that he was I'm sorry, I don't know if you're male or female, was looking for information about how to manage those relationships. But yeah, perhaps this is more of a question about how to move on and find that next job.
Okay. Yeah, well, first of all, since I'm a therapist, I would highly recommend finding a therapist that you feel comfortable talking to about this. I think that because that you experienced this, whether you realize it or not, it's going to be really important for you, whether it's a therapist or a family member or a friend, just to talk about the feelings that you have related to this because it probably didn't feel very good. And I also believe that this is just my opinion. Everything is meant to be. So for whatever reason, you needed to experience that. And I do believe that from pain comes power and comes resilience and comes, just happiness. It becomes the rest of your life. So if you can turn that negative situation into a positive situation by going to therapy, working it out, working it through, and then obviously, making sure that it never happens again. Like you would in your next job, you'll pick up on the red flags and make sure, like, even if you see it from the beginning, first time you sense any type of discrimination, you would act upon it and just demand respect. And I'd be happy to, if you wanted to reach out to me, I'd be more than happy to help you work through this.
Awesome, thanks. And Belkis once has written in with some thanks for that information, Jamie. So thank you. So a great question here from Kathy, and an interesting, also another lens to look on this. Kathy's question is, what are your recommendations for social media? I tend to not friend people from work unless they are a long-term colleague. Others at her workplace are friends right from the start on social media. Kathy doesn't necessarily feel left out, but she also doesn't want to offend anybody by not, accepting friend requests on Facebook or things like that. So, Jamie, what are your thoughts there?
It's interesting. I was just doing a seminar, and I had to get some extra CEUs to renew my license, and it was on all like the ethics and what to do about, as a therapist, do you accept friends on Facebook? So what I learned and how I feel is that it's truly a personal decision. Um, it sounds like you're feeling like a lot of people have done the accepting of friend requests and they're maybe forming relationships and maybe having plans outside of work. And maybe if you're not friends with them on Facebook, you're missing out. Whatever it is, I would say go with your gut. If you truly feel like you're not comfortable accepting, coworkers as friends on Facebook, then stick with how you feel. I don't think that you should do something out of your, just because everybody else is doing it. However, I do think that I know that there are a lot of people that are friends with their coworkers and they're very happy doing that. So I would say maybe just allow yourself to maybe, individualize person by person situation to see how you feel and then maybe try it out. And then if you don't like it, you can always, change that. But I would say definitely go with your gut. If you feel like you're not comfortable doing it, then stick with your gut.
Really interesting question from Alice. And Alice, I'm going to paraphrase your question here just a little bit. Alice has a coworker who is extremely condescending and disrespectful. She's not the only person in the office who feels that way, that this person is really unpleasant to work with. Alice recently found out that this coworker lives in her same apartment complex. So do you have any recommendations for Alice about how she should manage her relationship with this person, particularly if she were to sort of run into them at home?
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely go back to one of the things I was talking about, killing with kindness. I don't know if you've ever done it before, but it truly works and it's actually a fun challenge to yourself. And you'll end up being a happier, like more easy. Like if for whatever reason this person is causing you any anxiety, by doing this exercise, you will be more relaxed around the person. So when you see them, smile and say hi, pretend that you like this person, pretend that this person is not condescending, this person is the nicest person in the world. You will see that they will, first of all, probably be surprised, and then they will just start reacting probably in a kinder fashion and less condescending. And at the end of the day, if they never change, then I think just by having a sense of humor, if you can, about it, and just being like, that's who they are and bless their soul. You know, I'm not going to be condescending. They can be condescending, but I'm not going to let them affect me.
Great. Dan is wondering an interesting question here. How would you approach a situation where you recently had been promoted to now supervise someone who used to be a colleague on a more equal playing field? This is certainly something that has happened in my office. How does your framework for managing these relationships change when that happens, Jamie?
So you used to be kind of equals, and now you're above them.
Your
You're
person's boss.
okay. Um, yeah, I would say honestly, I would say to have an open, honest, like elephant in the room conversation right from the beginning, and so that so everybody's aware. You take once again face to face time, take them out to lunch, have a meeting with them, and just talk about how this relationship is going to change. And literally, I mean, it sounds silly to talk about your feelings at work, but this is why I'm here. Talk about how you're feeling about it, see how this person is feeling about it, and then just be really open and honest about how you're going to move forward.
Great. And then we've got one last question here. Definitely sort of relating to relationships at the office, but any final comments on motivating your peers on a team? So a relationship where you don't necessarily have authority over anybody, but if you're working on a group project, what's your advice for motivating other people on your team?
One thing I would say you can do is to share this webinar with them because I feel like there's a lot of material in it, to help people that maybe aren't as motivated or happy at work to become more motivated and happy at work. And once again, in a very gentle way, not condescending, obviously, just tell them, speak from your heart, speak from your, just how you're truly feeling about the importance of getting the work done, and it's a job and it might not be fun all the time, but it's important to do the work. Maybe think about giving them some incentives, and maybe calling a meeting and just getting together and once again talking about your feelings, asking them how they're feeling because perhaps they can express they're not feeling motivated and why. And then just by having this forum, this open, honest forum, I believe that they will feel more motivation, and as a group will kind of want to like do it together because you never know, maybe there are things that are going on that have not been communicated, so communicate and then you can inspire them to be more motivated.
Jamie, this was awesome. Thank you so much for the time that you put into this presentation. We've got a number of folks who've written in just to say thank you. Rebecca from London, thanks so much for a great session, and some other folks that have chimed in just to say thanks. So on behalf of everybody here at Boston University, thank you so much for doing this presentation for us.
Thank all of you for joining us today, and I hope you guys have a great day.
I want to thank all of our guests for participating as well. Specifically want to thank those of you who've donated to BU in the past. We have another excellent webinar coming up. This coming Tuesday, December 5th, we still have a couple spaces left for a webinar called Communicating Your Way to Professional Success with CAS alumna Jamila Cupid. I encourage you to all visit our website at bu.edu/alumni/events to see the full schedule of opportunities coming up both online and in cities around the globe. As always, if you or any BU alumni you know would be interested in presenting a professional development webinar or have a topic that you'd like to showcase for the Alumni Association, feel free to contact me here at our office or by email at jtmurphy@bu.edu. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Have a great day or a great evening, wherever you might be.